You think you're being reasonable, waiting to see if the pain fades, answering the insurance adjuster's questions, maybe even posting a quick update on Facebook to let your friends know you're okay. But all of these choices could be wrecking your injury claim before it's even gotten started. I'm Matt Albrecht, a personal injury attorney in Washington State, and I've seen smart people lose out on tens of thousands and cost themselves many months or years of struggle and fighting because of simple, preventable mistakes after a car crash. This video is going to walk you through 5 of the most common mistakes people make in Washington after a car crash. We'll tell you what these mistakes are, why they matter, and how to avoid them before they cost you. This will help you protect your own rights, build a stronger case, and make sure that your small missteps at the beginning don't derail your entire recovery. Mistake number 1, waiting too long to get medical attention. This happens all the time. You get into a car accident, a slip and fall at a store, or you get hurt at work, and you think the pain is going to go away. Maybe it's just hopeful thinking. Maybe in the past you've had some injuries that did go away. Maybe you're afraid of being accused of malingering or exaggerating. Maybe you just don't want to make a big deal out of it. But here's what you need to know. The clock starts ticking right away, and you will not be doing yourself any favors with these delays. See, in Washington, the insurance company is watching every move you make. If you wait several days or weeks before seeing a doctor, they will use that delay against you. Here's how it'll go. If you were really hurt, why didn't you go to the doctor right away? That argument can be devastating to your case because other people will ask the same question. If you were hurting so badly, why didn't you go to the doctor? Sure, we know the pain might not show up right away, and it might get worse over time. That's often the case with whiplash. But the insurance company won't care. They'll tell the jury you're exaggerating, or worse, making it up. And let me be clear, we don't help people who are making it up or exaggerating, but that's not what I most of the time see. My favorite clients are tough people who are proud of standing up on their own and recovering from injuries, and they're the kind of people who don't like to complain. These are my favorite clients, but I do need to remind them that not telling your doctors what's wrong with you is depriving them of the opportunity to help you recover. And it's another form of dishonesty. If you're going to the doctor and you're not telling them what's really wrong with you, then you're not really being honest with them. And we always recommend complete honesty. What happens otherwise is that you go back to work thinking you're okay after a car crash. The week goes by and you're thinking maybe I'm going to be okay after all. But by that weekend, the ibuprofen's not enough anymore. You can't turn your neck. So you go to urgent care a week after the crash, and guess what? For the next 2 years, you're in a dispute with the insurance company over whether or not you were really injured in the car crash or sometime during that week. Why? Because the more serious your injury is, let's say that it's one of those injuries that requires a surgery down the road, something very serious. The more serious it is, the more likely you are to be attacked because of any gap in treatment. They'll say, if it was so serious, why did you wait so long? And the insurance company latches onto a gap in care like that, and it will keep them from settling your case. Oftentimes, it leads cases to litigation or sometimes even trial, where that would not have been necessary if a person had followed up on care more quickly after the crash. So, what should you do instead? If you're in any kind of an accident, see a doctor as soon as you can. Even if at first you feel okay, in Washington, your medical records become the foundation of your case. So the sooner you get checked out, the stronger that evidence will be. Number 2 mistake, giving a recorded statement to the insurance adjuster. After your accident, you're probably going to get a call from the adjuster for the other side's insurance company. Many times, they'll sound friendly. They'll say things like, "We just want your side of the story," or "Help us with this information so we can process your claim faster." Well, it might be true that they would like to process your claim faster. That's not what's necessarily best for you. They're definitely not looking for a way to pay you more money. Instead, they're looking for reasons they could pay less. In Washington, you have no legal obligation to give a recorded statement to the other side's insurance company. But if you do, anything you say can be twisted or taken out of context, and it can be used to hurt you in ways that you won't even foresee. You see, the people you're dealing with on the other side are professionals. They do this every day, times thousands of times. They have trained for decades on how to deal with this situation. Most of the time, if you've just been injured, this is the first time this has ever happened to you. So you won't even know what kind of tricks you're falling for. But they do. A classic example is mentioning you feel okay or that you're recovering pretty well, but weeks later, your pain has gotten worse and you're finally diagnosed with the herniated disc you didn't know about. The insurance adjuster who talked to you 2 days after the crash already set the value of your case, and they're not likely to go back easily and change that value, and now you're in for a long struggle that you didn't need to be in for. The insurance adjuster will play back your own words. But you told us you were okay. Why would you say that if you were really hurt? Now you're backpedaling trying to explain yourself. And one of my favorite mentors as a trial lawyer had a mantra. If you're explaining yourself, you're losing. You're not really telling your story. You're making excuses. So I get calls all the time from people who say, I've already talked to the insurance company. Did I already mess up my case? Sometimes yes. Sometimes no. Sometimes their own statements get used to deny the claim or to offer a much smaller settlement. So what should you do instead? If you get that phone call, be polite but firm. I'd like to talk with my attorney before I speak with you. I'm trying to make sure I understand everything before I talk with you. If you don't have a lawyer yet, don't give a recorded statement. Gather information, ask for their contact info, and tell them you'll call back. Protect yourself first. The number 3 mistake I see is not following your doctor's orders. Mistake number 3, ignoring your medical plan, ignoring your doctor's advice, or skipping medical appointments. This is a really big one. In Washington, because your medical records make up so much of the evidence that ends up important to your case, the insurance company hires people to comb through your records. They hire doctors and nurses, and they will pay more on a doctor or nurse to find a way to deny your claim than it would have cost to pay your claim sometimes. They'll look for any missed appointments, skipped physical therapy sessions, or gaps in treatment. And once more, let's say you have explanations for these things. Let's say that you had a hard time paying for them. Let's say that your car is destroyed and you don't have an easy way to get to the doctor. You can make excuses for all of the problems. That's true. Sometimes they're very valid. But if you're explaining, you're losing. So let's say your doctor recommends that you go to physical therapy twice a week. If you only show up for half of those visits, the insurance company is going to ask, were you really hurting when you decided to stop following your doctor's advice? And they'll argue that any pain that goes on after that is now your fault. So you might think that you're doing the smart thing by avoiding going to the doctor too much, because otherwise you'll be called a malingerer and an exaggerator. That won't save you. If you don't follow through on medical treatment, then you'll just be accused of being partly at fault yourself for not getting better and healing. What should you do instead? If a doctor tells you to get physical therapy, go to the physical therapy. If you can take the time off work, then make sure you don't miss those appointments. Keep every follow-up appointment and always be honest about your symptoms. That means never exaggerate, but it also means don't hide them and keep them to yourself. Just because you feel guilty or you feel like you're not healing right doesn't mean you should keep to yourself that it's still hurting. If the treatments aren't working, you need to tell your doctor that. And if you miss a session, make sure you document and reschedule that session as soon as possible. Consistent care shows that you're taking your injury seriously and your own recovery seriously. It's one of the best things we can do for people who've been injured. While we take care of the insurance claims and the legal questions, you can focus on your health, which is and should be your first priority. The number 4 mistake I see: sharing too much on Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube, any social platform. We have some protection in Washington. Yes, even here, insurance companies and defense lawyers are looking for things in your social media that could undermine your case. There are even specialty investigation tools that they use to try to get at your information. Sometimes I've even seen them use private investigators who will use a friendly sounding name just to make friends with someone on social media, just to download their pictures. But even if they don't do that, and even if you keep it private, that's not going to save you when you get into litigation, because in a lawsuit, there are going to be discovery requests for your social media records. Many times there are things we can do to help protect and limit the scope of what's asked for, but that doesn't mean if you have photos of yourself or descriptions of your injuries, it's going to be kept private. It probably will not be kept private. They will search your name, your posts, and look for anything they can use against you. And the things that can be used against you can be quite surprising. Imagine this. You go to your cousin's wedding. You don't want to miss it even though you're hurting and even though you got to get to the doctor tomorrow morning. And what are you going to do at a wedding? Stand in the corner and grimace and groan? Or are you going to smile and dance even if it hurts? Now, you might be in pain the whole time, but there's one photo from that wedding and it shows you smiling and dancing a week after a crash. Maybe a crash that ends up with you having a serious surgery. But the insurance company is going to say, if you were well enough to dance, you're well enough to work. And why should we pay lost wages for pain and suffering for someone who could dance like this? Is it fair? Not necessarily. No one's going to take a picture of you later that night when you're asking to be driven home early. No one's going to take a picture of you on the couch with the ibuprofen bottle next to you the next morning. That's because that's not how it works in social media. And that's why social media posting after a car crash can really end up being used unfairly to hurt you. So what should you do instead? Don't post about your accident, your injuries, or your recovery at all. No status updates, photos, or comments. Ask your friends and family to please avoid tagging you or sharing anything about your situation. If you're determined to keep using social media, even though this might be a nice time for a little break, why not use it for a little digital detox time? But if you're determined, then set everything to private. Every setting there can be, set it to private. Make sure you're not saying yes to strangers you don't recognize because they might be private investigators. The number 5 mistake I see: settling with the first offer or trying to handle your case without help. I get it. Money is tight. Medical bills are piling up. You probably don't have your car back yet. You're afraid you're going to lose your job because you can't show up on time without a car. And you're asking for time off now so that you can get to the doctor. All this pressure builds up, and that's exactly what the insurance company is betting on. That's why their first offer is almost always low. You see, I've taken the depositions of insurance adjusters, and one of the things I was told was, at some companies, they're not even allowed to give you their real fair value offer the first time they talk to you. Sometimes there are restrictions that they have to make multiple offers before they can even tell you what they're allowed to offer you. But they're doing this times thousands, and you're only going to do it once or twice if you're lucky in your lifetime. That's why you shouldn't try to go it alone. See, once you accept their offer and sign the paperwork, that's it. Now, if problems show up later and you signed the release, you're almost certainly going to be on your own, no matter how serious the injury turns out to be. The settlement release that they ask you to sign, I will promise you, if it's read carefully, will say that you acknowledge your injuries might be much more serious than you know, and that they're settling for all of the injuries, known or unknown. You see, that's why it's so smart for the insurance company to try to settle early. And that's why it's not so smart usually for you to try to settle early. Now, what should you do instead? First, never take the first offer, and don't sign anything without talking to an experienced Washington personal injury attorney. A good lawyer understands all the categories of damages that you are entitled to under the jury instructions. They understand the law that covers pain and suffering, medical care, possibly diminished value of your vehicle that was damaged. We deal with the tactics of the insurance companies every day, and we're here to fight you so that you will get what is actually fair for a recovery. Let's go through these mistakes one more time. Number 1, waiting too long to seek medical care. Number 2, giving a recorded statement to the insurance company without legal advice. Number 3, ignoring your doctor's orders. Number 4, sharing too much information on social media. Number 5, settling too soon or settling without consulting a Washington personal injury lawyer. Avoiding these mistakes could be the difference between a settlement that actually takes care of your recovery or one that leaves you struggling. But here's something people don't realize. Even if you do everything right we've described, there's another problem that can wreck your case. Misinformation or mistakes from the medical providers themselves. Even well-meaning medical providers might tell you things after an accident that just aren't true. And if you believe those misunderstandings, it could really set back your recovery. You need to know what to watch for, and that's exactly why we're breaking down next missteps from the medical providers after an accident. If you want to protect your rights and avoid sabotaging your own claim, it's a must-watch. I'll see you over there. Thank you.